Welcome back to more Dracula Origins. I'm here with Van Helsing. And we are solving the many mysteries of this mansion. We just got a key from behind the safe. And it's time to do some MacGyver. Let's see. We have some kind of MacGyver measuring instrument now. Now, to figure out this candle on the wall.
Curious. This candlestick seems loose. Useless.
Not loose anymore.
There seems to be a lock. It is quite unique. I must make some kind of key specifically for it. I must measure the depth of these holes. I must measure. There, I have the hole's measurement. There, I have the hole's measurement. There, I have the hole's measurement. There. Now that I know the correct measurement of each hole, I will have a better idea of the key that I must make.
It's always good to know your holes, Van Helsing. 10 centimeter, 8 centimeter, 12 centimeter, and 5 centimeters. That's the approximate length of Johnny Blaze's dick. That's one of the subscribers. Who likes to leave all kinds of wonky ass messages on my videos. Well, that one's for you, Johnny. Where was that vice at? Alright, my little work table here. I got my file, my hammer, my saw, my nails, some random wood. And a schematic for my key. Alright, first things first, we need to cut these dowels down. One was supposed to be 10 centimeters. It's kind of our schematic sketch here. Another one was supposed to be 8. Twelve and 5. Okay, kind of looks like it. File them down, get them all nice and shapely.
No, it is not that.
There we go. We are building this key, folks.
Now, will this work?
That's a damn good question. I built it, so there's a good chance it won't. Cleaned up on the inventory.
It took a long time to open this passage, and it is late. It must be night outside. We must be very, very careful. Oh, an abyss. Beware. There are some stakes at the bottom.
That made me want to save my game.
This door is extremely solid. No chance of forcing it. I am in need of something.
I got a key. Hello.
Careful. I feel a presence.
Could this be the main man's room?
The bed of the master, no doubt. The reflection of this mirror should be intolerable. Count Dracula himself. This book, it is as if it is protected by a demonic aura. I must unravel its secret.
Hello.
The vampire must have taken off that way. Closed. Castle Dracula. I am in the ultimate lair of the beast. Ah, here is something interesting.
A little Kluski to the pentagram.
This book. It is as if it is protected by a demonic aura. I must unravel its secret.
Oh. Okay. We got to interchange these.
Book. It is as if it is.
Maybe I can hit the bat after I change them. Okay. Hey, don't my things go away. Is that like a reset? Now I need to get the text to appear. And it revolves around much the same as the triangles. Okay. Let's try these two. This thing's biting the shit out of me. Now we need to get our jewels in order. Let's see.
Finally, I can access the pages of this damned book. But, hell's bells. It seems that the same man wrote the whole book over the course of many centuries.
Summer of the year of our Lord 1477. I can no longer die. Of this I am certain. The strongest blows barely register. I almost feel pleasure to sense this pain, reminisce of my past glory. This morning, one of Ivan's brothers in arms, who was absent from the banquet, came to the castle. He had heard from scoundrels the narration of events that had taken place the evening of the banquet. He challenged me outside, but I begged him to enter as the sunlight was blinding and the warmth burned my hands. He declared that he wanted to do justice in the name of honor and in the name of God. He too called me a demon. I stared at him, miserable vermin in his polished armor. I felt his heart beating wildly, the tightening of his hand on his sword. He forced me to take a weapon, and I told him that it was my habit to discipline swine with my bare hands. His first blows seemed to be incredibly slow and gentle. This man must have weighed 200 pounds, and my hand barely moved back when I stopped his sword. He hit me again and again, while an indescribable euphoria grew in me, and I was surprised to whoop with laughter under his attack. And the hunger came as it had already come. I threw myself on him like wolves on cattle, and I crushed him between my hands. His heart was still beating as I became inebriated from his blood. I was better, yes, much better. December of the year 1477. But what have I become? An eternal terror seizes me as I write these words. All is dark around me, all is cold. I am alone, infinitely alone. I cry for hours on end. Alcohol, which I have engorged by the barrel, no longer has any effect on me. My spirit, gnawed away by the memories that I cannot chase away. This image of her that I wanted to banish haunts me each instant. It's a curse. She will make of me what I've dreamed of being. In my moments of anger, only the creatures of night hear my cries and can testify to my terror. I will soon slump into madness and will be the instrument of the demon inside me, the demon who denies my gaze when I search for it in the mirror, the demon who kisses me at the morning's glow and pushes me to nuzzle under the earth in the darkness. I am no longer human, I can sense it. Hunger comes when I think of the truly alive, and I cannot resist the intoxication that comes from appeasing this hunger, even as I contemplate its horror. I must put down under these pages my history so that the madness cannot make who I am or who I was disappear. It was I who conquered this land. Of all the warriors, I was the most ferocious and most feared. I won impossible and decisive victories, leading to the deaths of hundreds of my comrades. At the mention of my name, my enemies trembled. At the sight of my banner, they fled. This pagan land was conquered in the name of God, but in a way it had nothing to do with the saintly beliefs. Entire villages burnt, roads bordered in cadavers hanging from gallows. Hundreds of erect stakes dripping like blood, like wine from a press. Children, women, elders, so many lambs sacrificed to these wars of terror. Everywhere the fetid odor of decaying carrion mixed with the nauseating stench of burnt human flesh. Bloated, bent, and broken bodies eaten by worms. And so much blood. Victory in these lands comes to he who shows the most determination in face of the horrors and atrocities, he who is first to instill the supernatural terror in their enemy, regardless of the price. And it was me. Thus came peace, but certain men aren't made for peace. I had them come and stay in my castle, the knights who had fought at my side as well as their families. In this devastated land, it was the only dignified residence for those brave warriors and their noble dames. It was then that I saw her, Irina, the daughter of one of my comrades who died on the battlefield. She was everything. I saw nothing but her. She suffused the castle with an enchanting light and warmth. Each of her steps was a dance, her voice, the whisper of her soul. Her beauty transformed the world, transformed people. She was at the same time the ultimate happiness and the most destructive suffering, when I had to stand next to her without being able to kiss her and embrace her and make her mine. Thus my court was started, propelled by a total and sincere love. But voices came to her, voices that recounted the wars and its battles, that recounted the villages burned with pleasure, the abominable tortures performed under my command. I had recounted the hundreds of innocents decapitated in a move of anger. That recounted foremost my cruel laughter in this bloodbath. Despite my efforts to make her share my passion, I was greeted with a coldness marked with disgust. Mostly I wanted to show her the light of love in the depths of my eyes. Mostly she saw the blackness of death. And then he came, beautiful and blazing, with his handsome shield and legendary artifact, my young cousin Ivan, rejoining us after the battle and turning the heads of the ladies with each step. Generous and likable he shone in peacetime as I had once made him do during wartime. They were inseparable. He held her arm and she called him my lordship. He praised God and she drank his words, but hadn't I also served God? Hadn't I risked death 1,000,000 times for his glory? That it is to this puppet that God gave the right to charm my beloved, my one and only in his name. Thus I disavowed God and his holy hypocrisy. In this formerly pagan land subsisted rites, to which I secretly initiated myself. I disavowed God from the depths of my soul and swore to combat his defenders with 10 times more vigor than ever his enemies. The thirst for vengeance grew in me. I felt myself becoming a beast. The castle's inhabitants looked at me with growing fear, my foul temper having much to do with it. I began to whip clumsy servants or those who tarried in carrying out my orders. My brother-in-arms turned from me. Next came the marriage announcements that threw me into the abyss. Ivan and Irina announced their engagement held the previous eve in secrecy and their imminent wedding. Everyone present applauded the news, and I felt the mocking and condescending looks drift over me, the inevitable lot of the spurned lover. At that point, right in front of my eyes, the red veil of anger and blood fell. I managed nonetheless to contain my despair and fury, and invited the whole court to a great banquet to be given the next day in honor of the would-be wedded couple. I retired then. During all the preparations I was convulsed with pain and hatred, alone in my chamber to cultivate my fury. When the evening came, in the absence of Irina, who had left to put on a dress that I had previously offered, I proposed a toast at the banquet table, having taken care to order the servants to leave the hall and allow only the guests of the noble lineage to remain. As the knights and dames, all without exception, raised their goblets to their lips, I began a speech of the hypocrisy of their supposed god, and of their similar villainy. How did they dare pray while that wine that they drank came from land soiled by the blood of innocents massacred in the name of God? How dare they laugh at me, lord of this castle, I who nourished them and who had won them in a life of affluence in troubled times? None answered. The drug that I obtained from a local hag and poured into the goblets had paralyzed them. Although they could still see and hear perfectly, only my cup and that of Ivan had been spared. He sprung up and demanded my repentance. I laughed in the face of this buffoon as he clamored with the king of hate that I had experienced after he stole my loved one. My emotions, contained for so long and so deeply, exploded. I bounded across the room and threw myself onto my rival like a savage beast. My hands clasped at his ardor, and the force of his conviction began to make me lose my grip. It was thus that I sealed my demonic pact with blood. With all the strength of my denial of God and his children, I threw my jaws into the assault of my adversary's neck. I plunged my canines deep into his flesh, and binged on the vital liquid as the predator feeds from his prey. An unnatural intoxication overtook me as the grasp of my arms released. I couldn't bring myself to tear away from this crimson fountain from which I imbibed. When the source dried up, I separated myself from its pale carcass and stood up, my face stained with scarlet trails, and turned euphoric toward my guest, rigid and feverish. I was then overcome with visions of stakes, gallows, and decapitations. Arming myself with sword, leaning against my chair, I jumped on the table and began a dance of death, in which each of my twiddles was greeted by a fountain of blood coming from the necks, which my sword liberated from their thus forth superfluous heads. Undoubtedly attracted by my shrieks of laughter, Irina entered the hall and witnessed the scene. I attempted to explain that my infinite love for her was the source of everything, and the spectacular and unimaginable horror was proof. She was determined not to hear me, and fled up to the stairs above the dungeon, and I pursued her. This is quite a long book that Dracula wrote. Liberating people from their superfluous heads. Superfluous. I always have trouble with that word. Holy cannoli! This thing goes on for a good minute. This looks like different parts of the book. We'll finish the first part and read more later. When the source dried up, yep, I pursued her while proclaiming my love. When I caught up with her on the crenulated roof in the feeble glow of the moon, she screamed into the wind all of the hatred she felt for me and that I couldn't respond to but with words of love. As I stepped forward to finally claim my prize, she threw herself into the void, into the mist, that masked the cliffs encircling the castle. I sunk to the ground, divided between an incredible force that I felt growing inside of me and the sadness of an unfathomable black pit, into which I fell body and soul, into which, with jealousy and hatred, I had dug myself. And then the next entry is April 16th, 1887. 110 years? No, 410 years. 1477 to 1887? That's 410 years. This mofo is old! Alright, back for more of that
Damnation, later. Mina. He must be with her at this moment. I was not able to save Harker, but I cannot lose her. I must get to her as soon as possible.
Uh-oh. Bad news bears.
Coming this way. It must be the butler. Quick, run.
Quick, run. She got the garlic.
The bulbs of garlic are there, but still in a basket, and thus ineffective. Careful. I feel a presence.
Oh, here we go. Dracula's already dug in.
Back, demon, in the name of the Holy Cross. Leave this child and depart from this house. In any case, I did not count on lingering. We have already consumed our union. And I did not come for a discussion. It will give me great pleasure to see you again soon, my dear. Your body calls to be covered in roses and love. As for yours, sir, it will soon be a putrid, gory mass where worms will feast.
Get your ass out of here. To Seward, MD, Director of Carfax Sanatorium. My dear friend and disciple, if you are to receive this telegram, know it is because my situation is critical, and only the person in whom I hope may confide totally is you. Since the days of my teaching in the Royal College, where I have been honored to be your preceptor, I devoted my life to a desperate fight against evil. My foe was so terrible and profoundly mystic that I refrained to speak about it even in the most scholarly circles. My deepest hope was to protect my friends. And you being one of them as a brave and confident in me, that you are the hope now to be forgotten. Unwillingly I must engage you to the unthinkable crusade, make you join my silent and lonely road, and set you against reality, which you would undoubtedly prefer to ignore. Immediately upon receiving this paper, would you bring your medical instruments and join me at the apartment of Mina, the young fiancée of our old friend Jonathan Harker, who shared with me the knowledge that you will soon share, and paid for it with his mortal life. Professor Van Helsing.
She is stable, but extremely weak. As for her teeth, they haven't started. Yes, I know. But it is only a question of days. She is contaminated, and despite all of the transfusions that we may do, she will sooner or later become one of them. Look there. You'd think she was an angel. What do you suggest doing? Will you wait until she mutates completely? There exists perhaps a glimmer of hope, Seward. I have to pursue the demon and try to counter his plans. Mad idea! Do you at least know where he could be? Not so mad, after all. Find me a map of Europe, Seward. Harker must have had one here. And then let's decide where to start my journey.
You mean the giant map on the wall here?
There. Perfect.
All right. Cairo sounds fun.
There. Perfect. In his lair in London, I discovered a journal that Count Dracula had composed in his own hand. The demon has departed for Cairo. It seems that there are some ancient texts there that talk of rituals and maledictions. Perhaps there is one that explains vampirism. I know it is highly unlikely. Even if that weren't the case, Dracula seems to want to find this work at any cost. If I make my way there and find it before him, I could exchange it for Mina's salvation. And if none of that comes to fruition, I finally have, after so many years, fresh tracks leading to the Count. I will be able to find him and destroy him. I will contact the director of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo by courier today. I believe he is the only person who can help me and guide my research. If you wish to contact me, write to me care of the museum. Keep me informed as to the progress of Mina's illness, and keep a better eye on her than I was able to, Seward.
All right. Leaving behind the dark, grimy, gothic city of London and now headed to the dry desert heat of Cairo. We'll see you soon with more Dracula Origins. Thanks for watching.